Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for your thumbs up. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. Well, we've all heard the saying, if you live in a glass house, don't throw no stones. So we've been hearing from Africans that we don't have culture. Black Americans don't have culture. We don't have language. We don't know who we are. We've heard all of these insulting things from Africans, the very people that we advocated for to come to the United States. So they don't seem to have any appreciation for that. Their goal seems to be to come here and define us and show how superior they are to us by telling us that we don't have culture and we don't have language. So imagine my surprise when I came across this.
I'm sick of hearing that African people have culture. You don't. In the 1700s, most of your languages didn't even have 2,000 words, and none of you ever wrote it down. The white people in the 1700s and 1800s had to come and write your languages down for you. Is that culture if you can't even write down your language?
It's always the European rejects. Now, do these people know most of Northern Europe and Western Europe didn't have a form of writing at all?
So now you have this African person trying to correct the white man, just like we have been trying to correct them. Again, when you live in a glass house, don't throw stones. None of this is about telling the truth. And none of this is about cultural awareness. None of this is about having studied other people's cultures, their lifestyles, their circumstances, what happened to them, why they had to create another form of language or another form of doing things. When you say somebody doesn't have culture based on what you call culture, you're not taking into consideration the human experience, migration, captivity, which is what we went through, displacement, when people's circumstances require them to move from one place to another and they have to create another identity for themselves. None of that is taken into consideration when people say things like this. But when you come out here and say somebody doesn't have culture, that's about you trying to put somebody else down to try to make yourself look big, trying to make yourself superior to somebody else. So that's what this is about. It's about clicks and views and getting popular on a social media platform. But it's not about telling the truth. And that is why when you come out here and make these statements, you need to be ready for the glass house effect.
I'm sick of hearing that African people have culture. You don't. In the 1700s, most of your languages didn't even have 2,000 words, and none of you ever wrote it down. The white people in the 1700s and 1800s had to come and write your languages down for you. Is that culture if you can't even write down your language? And if you have less than 2,000 words to describe everything in life, your culture, your dances, your food, everything, you don't really have a culture.
Now, Black Americans, myself included, have tried to have this conversation pointing out what culture is and what our culture is. We have never gone to the other side and said Africans didn't have culture. We have just defended our own culture. But see, it would take a white man to tell them something like this. And they are doing this stitching all over the place and calling the man stupid and what he doesn't know and all of that. But at the bottom line, he's doing the same thing to them that they have done to us. I think it's worth pointing out that the very same stereotype that was used against Africans centuries ago is being used again, this time by someone they might respect or look up to, like a white person. But that's the thing about cultural insults. They don't stay in one direction. They always come back around, especially when you're in a glass house. So now Black Americans are establishing our own identity, and we'll let the white folk and the Africans work this one out. I think we should be done trying to defend ourselves against such things as you don't have culture, you don't know where you're from, you don't have a language. I think we should be done with that. I believe that if you have to leave your homeland where you have all of the things that you say are important, like language and culture, and you know where you're from, then you shouldn't be in the land of the people who don't know where they're from and what their language is, trying to leech off of them, because that's all they're doing. And we need to call that what it is too. They're leeches. They're just trying to leech off of what we have worked for. And it's always good for us to know where we stand in this scenario. And here is an honest breakdown. If Black Americans had not fought for centuries, most Black immigrants would not be allowed into the United States. Those who did arrive would face segregation, violence, and exclusion. They would have no legal protections, they would have no political power like they don't anywhere else, and they would have no cultural space to exist in, not to mention the fact that they would not be voting. Black immigrants' ability to live and succeed in America is directly dependent on Black Americans' fight for justice. Without that fight, their presence here would be extremely limited or impossible. This is a historical fact, not an insult. So, just to keep it a buck, while these Black immigrants are debating whether or not we have culture, this is something they might want to keep in mind. They would not be in the United States in any significant numbers, and in many cases, not at all, without the political, legal, and cultural transformation forced by Black Americans. So, I think that's pretty good for culture. What do y'all think? For most of U.S. history, immigration policy was explicitly designed to keep out non Europeans. The country used racial quotas that overwhelmingly favored white immigrants. Africans, Caribbeans, and Afro Latinos were admitted in extremely small numbers, and they had to have white sponsors to get here. Their turning point was the Civil Rights Movement, which exposed the contradiction between America's racist laws and its claims of democracy. Under that pressure, Congress passed the 1965 Immigration and Nationality Act, which finally removed racial quotas. The law is the reason large scale Black immigration exists today. Without the Civil Rights Movement, which was overwhelmingly led, organized, and paid for in blood by Black Americans, the United States would have remained a closed door. That's courage, but that's also culture for you, baby. Opening up a country like the United States so that Black people from all over the world could come here took courage. And that's also culture. But back to the white guy in the video, I find it hilarious that a white guy would come out of nowhere and start throwing stones. Africans don't have culture, and he didn't even specify a region. He just said Africans don't have culture. And you have 2,000 words, which he's indicating that that's not even enough words to describe who you are or the culture that you claim you have. So I don't know if it's fair or not. What do y'all think about this? Is this like living in a glass house throwing stones and then somebody, you throwing stone out the front door and somebody else is shellacking you from the back? You didn't even know that somebody else was coming for you. I just think it's hilarious. But again, it's all about people not really being sensitive enough to other people's conditions. There is no such thing as somebody not having culture. Whatever you do on a daily basis is your culture. And nobody can take that from you. But you can put yourself out there and leave yourself out there for somebody else to ridicule you as you have been trying to do somebody else. So I think this is very instructive. And I think it's very timely. So what do y'all think about this? What do y'all think about this white guy doing this? Okay, thank you for listening. Stay warm out there and have a wonderful day.